Okay, we are now recording. For those of you who are not part of our studio audience today, we are looking at an example of markup for the Ess Ee Oh project. And what this is instructions for how to leave comments that are very visible to someone who's scrolling through the HTML code of your web page, something that you'll turn in as part of the project, to help me see where it is that you have made an Ess Ee Oh intervention and what it is that you've done and why you think that's a good thing. So in this example, I have made one of these comments around the title tag. The previous title tag I thought was too terse. There weren't enough words. It wasn't descriptive enough. It wasn't taking enough advantage of the opportunity that a title tag gives to describe the site. So I changed it. I left in the name of the group and I left in the abbreviation. And then I put in descriptions, but also terms that I think people would search for. This is a group that we use because we were looking for English country dancing. So I put that in there. Although I'm not normal, not everyone is going to search for the same things that I am. So just because that's how I found it doesn't mean that's the right way to find it. And then I also put in contra dancing, which I guess I don't know enough about it to know what it is, but I know it's another type of country dancing that they do and people are looking for. And then I put in some terms that they thought were important, that there are regular events and that newcomers are welcome. So in my essay, I would just talk more about why I made those changes and why this title tag is better than that title tag. But in the code, I marked it out so the person who's evaluating it can see it. And I kept both the old version and what I changed it to. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to clear everybody's contents. Let's see. And go ahead and give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down on how well you're following the recommended comment structure. Okay. I'm seeing mostly positive things, but not stuff from everyone. So I'm going to move on a little bit. And if you want to look into it deeper as we go through, hang on. The page, I did a little bit more. This isn't a full project, but you can look at it and see some of the things that I've done. This is, I believe, a WordPress site. And so those of you who are doing WordPress may look to see how it's done some of that. And remember that when it comes time in the real world to make these changes, we won't be able to do it in the HTML. WordPress generates the HTML that your browser reads on the fly. We'll have to do it usually through the Yoast plugin, and we'll look a little bit about how that goes. Curiously, give me a thumbs up or a green comment if the site that you're doing SEO for is a WordPress site. Okay, good solid bunch of you. So what that tells me is we should probably have at least one day or maybe a special outside of class session for WordPress only. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to today, and I'm going to turn off the mouse highlighting for a moment. And let's look at today's slide deck. Hang on a moment. All right. So today I want to talk about keyword analysis. And this is if you're talking about SEO in the workplace, this is probably the thing that most people are referring to when they say SEO. So far, we've looked at what we call on-page SEO or technical SEO, which is, I think, very important. Most of what people are talking about, though, is the process of, for marketing reasons, actively keeping up with what people are searching for and optimizing your site for the most popular contemporary keywords. I don't think that's the most important thing, but it's the hardest thing for folks to get across. And it's the thing where you can spend money, you can buy something that's supposed to help. And I'm not sure that's always the best move. I get the feeling that there are a lot of people who spend money because it makes them feel like they're doing something. And it's not necessarily because it's the most useful thing that they can do in that particular moment. And what I have prepared to go through here follows pretty closely with the reading for today, but I wanted to highlight some things that I thought were important. So, two things to keep in mind: site keywords and popular keywords. Site keywords, and this might be just my own vocabulary, you might not find a lot of other people using this, but I want to drive this home that there are some keywords that you will want to consider optimizing for that aren't marketing, that are just, this is what your site's about. If your site is for a physical business in Fisherman's Landing, you're probably going to want to have Fisherman's Landing or Vancouver, Washington, or Clark County, or some accurate geographic identifier, regardless of what's popular or what people are searching for at this time. So there are some keywords that you're going to want to use that are only for your site, and they're not up to date or rapidly changing or any of that. When you're choosing keywords, one thing that you'll want, and I'm going to flip the slides for just a moment, so if you get vertigo, hang on. Bear with me, please. I'm getting a difference in the number of slide that's coming up. Okay, nope. Sorry. Okay, returning to the topic, search volume is something that we're going to want to pay a lot of attention to. Search volume is how many searches have used this keyword. Generally, it's counted by, in a month, how many times has this keyword appeared in searches that we can find. So I'm guessing right now that Corona or COVID-19 or masks or whatever are among the highest volume keywords. If your goal is marketing and you're trying to drive new eyeballs to your site, you'll want to follow those. Another version or another thing to consider about the keywords that you're using is keyword difficulty. And what I mean by that is how many sites are trying to optimize their sites for those particular keywords. So right now, if I don't know, I was selling things, I would guess that disinfecting wipes or hand sanitizer or toilet paper would be some of the most difficult immediate sale, or what we'll see are called money keywords available. So I'm looking on the camera and I see lots of people moving around. Is there an issue with something that I'm doing, or should I just ignore you? We're all good? Okay. So keyword volume, how many people are searching for those? Keyword difficulty, how many people are optimizing their sites for those keywords? And while we always want to accurately optimize for our site, and for a small scale local site, there may not be a ton of choice. Like if you have a coffee shop, you're going to have to put some version of coffee in it and your location and what makes you special. You're not going to be able to chase things around as much as if you were a bigger site or you had more pages to optimize. Two other ways to look at keywords when you're optimizing: money keywords and informative keywords. And those match up with two kinds of searches. Some people will talk about transactional searches. And to think about that, you'll want to consider, what do you type in when you're trying to buy something? Versus informative keywords are the kind of keywords that you type in when you're trying to learn about something or get more information. It's not all that different from known item searching and browsing. Money keywords are used by people who know what they want and they want to make a sale. Informative keywords are used by people who are trying to figure something out and haven't decided yet. Money keywords, as you can imagine, are going to be more competitive. A lot of the people who focus on SEO do so because they're trying to drive sales, and thus things that drive sales become the things that they SEO around. For us and this project, I'm assuming it's going to be the case that informative keywords are more of what we're trying to do. Rather than get someone to give us money today, we're trying to build a brand. We're trying to build a reputation. We're trying to build long-term relationships with people who come to our site. So if you have a portfolio site, so eventually you're well known enough that people who are doing freelance hiring will recognize you as like, oh, that woman is the JavaScript doctor. I'm going to fix her because I'm having problems with Angular on my site. Or that person is the 3D modeling person that I can get, and I can put elements for virtual reality for my app together. We're going to focus more on informative keywords. A lot of what you will see that's described as SEO is going to be people in sort of a high pressure sales environment trying to sell you what the most competitive money keywords are. And I don't think there are a lot of situations where that's going to be the best choice for you, but I want you to recognize it when it comes around. Okay, some extra vocabulary here. Can y'all read the slide? In the future, should I make things bigger than this, or is this an okay site if you have it locally? Okay. As we mentioned, commercial keywords, money keywords, synonyms. They mean the same thing. Commercial keywords are terms that people use in their searches when they plan on making a purchase. Tend to be more competitive. Commercial sites are more likely to do SEO than other sites, and their SEO focuses on the money keywords. And commercial SEO products focus on these. You can pay for products that tell you what the most commonly searched for terms are and what the trends are as a way to get ahead of them. I'm not focusing on that because even if that ends up being what you do as part of your job, you can learn that on the go, and that changes quickly. What you need, I think, to get started is understanding why those things are the way they are. Folks who are looking for more information use informative keywords. I bolded that because those are the keywords that we're going to focus on. They're less likely to lead to sales. They're less competitive because people are less likely to spend money on something that's not immediately going to have a financial return. It might make sense to pay $50 an hour to an SEO person if that's going to have immediate turnaround in the number of lattes that people come in and pay for. Folks may not be willing to give you that cash for long-term building a brand. But the good news is they're less competitive. And so if you put some time and effort into it, you should be able to see progress and inroads. It's not like you're trying to compete head to head with Amazon or BlackRock Coffee. Informative keywords will have a long-term effect of bringing in traffic and having people link to your site. One of the one-sentence definitions of SEO that I like to throw around is SEO can be summed up as writing content that people want to link to. If you write content that other people link to, your site is going to perform very, very well. External links are super important, and we can't control them because they are external. And finally, informative keywords are going to tie in with your organizational research, that work that we've done to figure out what are the goals of the company, what are the goals of the website, what are they trying to do, what are the conversions on this particular page. If you've done that work, you've probably found your informative keywords or come close to it. This next bit ties very much into designed for humans, not for machines. If you have perfect keywords, it doesn't mean very much unless they connect to your site's content. If, for example, you broke your digital thermometer in the first week of being at home and you're trying to buy another digital thermometer, like your genius instructor did, you may have discovered that it's really hard to find a thermometer for money or love anywhere. And there are lots of people, if you type in digital thermometer, who are using that traffic to drive my search results to a page that does not give me the thing that I'm looking for. You've had that happen, right? Typed in a search term, popular looking search result has all your keywords in it. You follow that link and you end up on a page that's written by a robot or something like that. You've had this experience? Thumbs up or yeses? I'm going to clear everyone's response. I can do it on this machine. Okay. Is it fun? Did you like the experience of being diverted from your search to spam farm? Basically, spam farm are these auto-generated sites that just have your keywords in them, but no actual content. Yes. Searching for breast cancer will not always give you what you're looking for. Lots of things like that. Okay. So if you want to avoid treating your users like that, don't just choose high-performing keywords. They have to connect to your site's content. And also, your site shouldn't be static. Fresh content is needed to rank. And so even if you do a really good job, after a while, the search engines are going to want more. They're kind of insatiable that way. So weekly content, monthly, if that's what you can do. If you do it monthly, make sure that it's engaging and people like it. Okay, put a blank slide in here, so I would slow down for a second. Keyword structure is another thing to think about. Short tail, medium tail, or long tail keywords. Do you remember when I talked about the long tail and I had the hockey stick shaped distribution curve that basically showed the most popular things are very, very popular. But once you get beyond the really popular stuff, things are kind of the same amount of popular a long way back. And one of the points about the long tail is if you're not a store like Walmart, which is totally focused on delivering high volume of the absolute cheapest stuff possible, if you have a specialty, if you are selling non-alcoholic wine, or you're selling gluten-free muffins, or something that doesn't have enough of a market to be in the top 40 items, but there's still a dedicated community that wants them, you use a long tail keyword. Well, in this sense, short tail keywords are just a word, and they're hyper competitive. If you type in books, you're going to get Amazon. If you type in pets, you're going to get Petco or something like that. And that's for certain reasons. If you type in coffee, you're probably not going to get your corner coffee stand. Those are the short tail keywords. You'll need some of them. But medium tail keywords are 3 to 4 word phrases. And these are phrases that people use. So maybe you say daily coffee in Hazeldell, or maybe you say dog walking while you're at lunch, or whatever it is. You can find a burst of things to use as a phrase. Sometimes a tagline or a catchphrase will work. So like Dick Hanna spends lots of money on making sure we all know that believe in nice works for that. So if you're Dick Hanna, you want that in your high value real estate, because you may not remember, oh, what's the name of that place? I want the nice car dealer. And so you'll type in believe in nice and get there. For creative media and digital culture, or digital technology and culture, those are good keywords because those are our names. But you might also want to have a medium tail keyword that describes this to people who haven't heard of us before. So we might have making art with computers, or digital jobs for creative people, or something along those lines that's a short description. What we call long tail keywords are longer than 4 words. It's easy to rank well for them. And what we mean by ranking well for a keyword is if someone were to type in, the fat professor with the beard who talks about metadata, I could probably rank #1 for that, but almost nobody is going to search for that. So ranking near the top for that is not particularly useful. You may want to keep some things, keep that in mind if you have a lot of them that you can rank for. Do I see a hand, Ruth? I'm going to assume no then. Okay. So when you're describing the keywords that you've chosen to put into strategic places on the site, you'll want to describe them in terms of whether the keywords and your strategies are short tail, medium tail, or long tail. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about keyword tools. Keyword tools are generally subscription services. There used to be a bunch of free ones. There used to be a bunch of subscription ones, and a lot of that's gone away. And I don't have people use these, or I don't ask people to do free trial signups, because it's not worth how persistently the sales folks are going to come after you. They really want to sell people SEO keyword tools, and you may use them in an employer provided situation, or if you end up doing freelance SEO as a main line of your career, it may make sense to give Moz Tools $1,000 a year to have access to them. Otherwise, absolutely focus on other things first. It's not just because I'm a tightwad, and I can be kind of a tightwad, but you can do a lot of good without this. And paying for these isn't a promise that you will succeed. What the tools do is give you information on search volume and search effectiveness. They give you the sorts of results that analytics tools do for a website. Have any of you used StatCounter or Piwik or Matomo or Google Analytics for your site? I'm looking around to see what folks are saying. I would appreciate it if everyone would use the green dots for these when you're talking, or if you got your camera on, give me a thumb up. Otherwise, if nothing else, it makes me feel like I'm not talking to an empty room. So humor me, please. Okay. Besides those kinds of tools, and oh, I did want to mention there is one free keyword tool that you can look at. Well, there are a few free things that you can do with keyword suggesters. Auto suggest, autocorrect sorts of answers. When you type in the beginning of a search, that's the sort of thing that keyword tools give you more of. So look at that. Like type in the beginning of, if you have a coffee cart, you can say coffee cart, Salmon Creek, and see what auto completes from each word in that as it goes. There's a tool, pardon the language, called Keyword Shitter that does about what you would suspect. You can Google that. You put in a word and it vomits out lots of related keywords from a bunch of machine learning or suggestion tools. It just gives you more and more suggestions. If you type in something, it starts off with giving you things that are like synonyms, sorts of things that you'd find in a thesaurus, other words that are like that, words that are similar to that, words that people search for, and it keeps giving you more and more and more and more. I'm not convinced that it's super useful, but I'm glad that I saw what it is and what it does, and I understand why people use tools like that. Most of the time, you can probably get by without them. Competition research. This is something that you absolutely should be doing. Things that you can do. You can ask, find out who has done good senior portfolios in the past. If you're doing a portfolio, maybe ask people in the senior seminar, or ask David Alonso or Holly Slocum, what are some good examples of past senior portfolios, and go look at them. If you're doing a local board game store, look at other board game stores. Look at board game stores that aren't local. You know, look for another town about the size of Portland or similar in a similar part of the country. Look at Spokane and Boise. Look at Medford. Look at other places. Look at Seattle to see what other folks are doing. Look to see which ones rank well. Type in the sort of search that you really wish would cause people to find your site. See what does rank first, and then go in and look at their code. See what they're doing to get where you want to be. They have ideas that make sense. Steal them. So identify who your peers are, who your competition is. And it doesn't have to be someone doing something exactly the same. If you're not sure about geographic keywords, look for a bunch of businesses. Maybe you have a cupcake shop, but you look at, you know, hot dog stands, or I don't know if they have elote carts around here, but that sort of thing. Do they have elote carts around here? The folks that walk through with the little rolly cart that sells corn? They should. It's wonderful. Okay. Go to these sites and do what you did beginning for your site. Basic SEO analysis. Look at the title tags. Look at their headings. Look at their meta description. Look at what's in their picture alt text. Look at all of those things and see how they've done it. Maybe you'll end up thinking, I can do better than this. I can move up there. Or maybe you're saying, these people have a good approach, I'm going to go along with it. Or it's good to know what other people are doing. Look for areas where you're the same. Look for areas that you're different. It's going to take a while to develop a feel, and nothing but looking at a lot of sites and looking at a lot of code is going to give this to you. You can read articles, you can take classes, but basically you're going to have to do it for a while to get a feel to it. And I wish I could can it and sell it to you in a bottle, but can't. So look at things and steal ideas as necessary. Okay. And this text is really tiny. I apologize. Keyword analysis is uncertain. It's difficult to tell who's doing it well. And it's difficult to tell what things are actually working in the world and what things just look good on analytics. And that's what's harder. And that's, you know, a lot of people make dashboards that track popularity of things, and you can see the chart go up over time. And we all know, well, the chart's going up over time, so that must be good. But there's a lot that's uncertain about keyword analysis, which means a lot of people who are paying for stuff know that it's important, but it's hard to demonstrate what's valuable. So people will try to sell lots of snake oil, or will try to sell things that don't work, but make people who are nervous feel like they're doing something. Keyword analysis has more to do with SEM than SEO. SEM is keyword marketing. That's where you bid on keywords from Google. You say, I'm willing to pay X amount of money to rank for the keyword coffee. And lots of people want to rank for coffee, and they're probably willing to bid more money. So for a small business, you have to bid on Hazeldell coffee or coffee Hazeldell or something like that. Keyword analysis helps you pick the right things to bid on when there's more money on the line. We're going to focus more on informative keywords, but I want you to know because people talk about it a lot. Okay. We have reached the end of the deck, and we have about 10 minutes left. So what do you think? Let's get some feedback. You can do it in the chat, or you can turn your microphone on, but I would like to hear a little more from y'all. Yes, Natalie. Oh, you can't unmute yourselves? Have I left you all muted? Ah, I'm the worst teacher ever. Sorry.
Sweet. I was just gonna ask that with the keywords, does it go in like the head of the code, or does it go by like the individual things that you're adding the keywords to?
The individual places where you're adding the keywords. What
Oh, okay.
keyword research does is it tells you which keywords are really popular right now. And so it's for fast-paced, highly competitive sales environments. Not so, like if you have a site that doesn't change all that often, like if you are a photographer and you're selling your photographic services, some things may change. Every 50 years there may be a change from digital, or from film to digital, or something along those lines. But other than that, people want photos at weddings, and people want photos when they graduate, and that's going to drive it, or when they have kids, and there's not a lot that's going to change. Those companies might not want to spend as much time or as much money on keyword research as someone who's really, really, really trying to stay up. Okay, and you may now unmute yourself. I will stop being a mean classroom bully professor. Okay, would competition for a portfolio site be people with the same name as you? Not so much. That is part of it. People who are trying to get the same sort of job as you. Maybe people in the program who have the same specialty as you, or or other people in the job market who are trying to sell the same skills. So what's your superpower, Viet? Web development. So you might definitely look at other freelancers or whatever type of web development job you're trying to get. But if it's a portfolio, I would start with freelancers and see what they're doing. What vocabulary they rely on. Maybe full stack is super important, or maybe I keep using Angular as an example. Maybe Angular is really popular right now, or maybe Node is something that is in demand. See what people are using and see how that applies to your situation. Yes, look at what people are looking to hire use. what I tell the people that I mentor for the senior seminar, and I might as well tell you, start looking at job ads, not just jobs that you'll get now. Start looking at the kinds of openings that you'll be chasing after you've graduated. See how people ask for the kinds of jobs that you want. See what, for the kind of money in the kind of place, using the kind of skills that you want to have, see what they're saying. And then, in so much as it accurately describes to you and your education, use that language. So if you've described something a certain way, or if you want to do SEO and it turns out that when I talk about, what did I say, site keywords, nobody calls them site keywords. They call them, I don't know, self-research or something else. And I'm just making that up now as an example. Use the thing that the people you are trying to reach use. And that's one of the things that this kind of research can do. Other questions? Okay. Please, what do we have? Double checking. We changed the due date, right? I believe the due date.
It says April 3rd on the sheet for the assignment.
What is the date a week from today? The 6th?
Yeah.
Let's make it due on the 6th. Because today you've received classroom instruction on all of the parts of the assignment. I've talked about the technical SEO and the on-page SEO. I've talked about the organizational keywords and looking at the site. I've talked about keyword analysis after today. And we have the page up that I posted over the weekend that shows how to do the code analysis. I will take Wednesday's class and I will prepare less new content, and I would use that at the same way that I would do a lab class. Like if we were in the room, I would say, bring your site, bring your assignment. Your job for that class will be to find the things that don't make sense or find the blocks that you have. If all you need is time to do work, that's great. Find the things that stop you from doing work and let's figure out what that problem is and solve it. And let's dedicate Wednesday's class for that. And then on Friday, we'll see where we are. If we're feeling good, we'll start talking about schema. If we're not, we'll focus on the things that are making us not feel good. How does that feel? Okay, thumbs up. And I have a really simple job. I need to push the record button and not push the don't allow people to unmute themselves. I will push those buttons correctly and in a timely way on Wednesday, and we will have a hands-on lab class. Is there anything else I can do for any of you that will make your learning more efficient and your life more pleasant? Well, all right. Oh, Ann. Was that an old hand, Ann, that you had up, or did you have a question?
Oh, I didn't know I had my hand up. I guess I did have a question. If I have my first section done, can I email it to you to see if I did it correctly? I'm just not sure if I'm doing it in the right format or not.
Yes, it's pretty, I'm not shooting for something very specific. But yes, if you guys want to send some of that by me, or actually, let's do that in class on Wednesday. That's what Wednesday's class is designed for. And so let's do that then. And if it's a problem, we can push deadlines and do things in other ways. But does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right then. I'll stay online for a little bit to answer further questions, but I think this went all right. I'm going to stop recording, and I will see y'all on Wednesday for a lab day with lots of questions.